Johnston 911, what's the address of your emergency?
Someone's breaking in. It's 309 Robbins Lane. He's breaking in right now. Can you send somebody quick?
You can normally tell when you pick up on the phone if it's a real true emergency. And there was a little girl's voice that came onto the telephone and said that she needed the police immediately to her house because there was a gentleman trying to break in through her back door.
I heard them tearing the screen or opening the screen door. So then I called my mom. Well, I ran to the back room and got my sister and I locked the door. So I immediately called 911 and I was really scared. I'd never been in a situation. And then Sue answered and then I was relieved because someone was there, and if they got in or anything, then she would know what was happening.
Yeah, you want to help as much as you can and make them feel as comfortable as possible. In the meantime, still trying to maintain your composure. And like I said, my partner was dispatching the call, and I was keeping her up to date the best that I could and trying to assure the caller that the police were coming. And when she said that the suspect had jumped and run and went over the fence, I gave that information to my partner.
When I seen the police car come by my house, I seen the black male run, and I seen what he was wearing.
She was able to tell me a little bit of his description, enough to where if the officers saw somebody in the area, they would stop and question them.
I knew that when they come in, they're going to go straight to the back rooms. And then I heard chairs moving. And I thought they got in, so then I started really panicking then.
When the officers got there, they actually apprehended a suspect on scene at her back door. It's kind of scary on our end because you want to help them, and you especially want to comfort them when they're a child, and you think about your own kids.
Knowing that she was on the phone with me, really helped me out a lot. So.
I thought help started your way. Tell me exactly what's happening.
He fell. He was in the bathroom and he fell. He had been complaining before of chest pains.
I was in the kitchen washing dishes, and Paul was getting ready for bed, and I heard this crash in the bathroom, and I knew it was a heart attack.
It was a fairly busy evening, and I was a call taker, designated call taker that evening. And I answered the line, asked what had happened, and she told me that her husband, she had heard a crash in the bathroom, and she was able to get the door open, and he was on the floor. So I just followed procedure and checked for his breathing, and it was questionable as to whether or not he was breathing. So I went ahead and just immediately sent the call out as a cardiac arrest, and proceeded to instruct Thelma, who was absolutely just wonderful, followed everything that I said.
At one point, Paul stopped breathing altogether, and I told her on the phone, he's not breathing, and she said, okay, we're going to have to do CPR. So I did this, and she kept going. Kept counting with me, and we counted together 1, 2, 3.
Just continued the chest compressions. I believe the engine company was there first, and then the paramedic unit shortly thereafter, and then they took over. And the rest is history, as they say.
After this happened with with Paul and me listening to Kathy and Kathy telling me, Thelma, do this, do this. I was thinking Paul would be proud of me.
Exactly right. Kathy was a sweetheart, and I'm proud of Thelma.
And tell me exactly what happened.
There's a creek that runs between our two buildings, and there's diesel fuel, tons of it, in the creek.
So the call came in about 6:50 in the morning. We got a call from a gentleman. He said that he smelled a smell of diesel fuel. He wasn't sure where it was coming from, but as he got closer to the water, it got stronger. So we went through our priority dispatch questions, asked him. We coded it out as a fuel spill, unknown, in a waterway. We sent an engine and a hazmat crew.
We responded. My mindset at the time was that this was going to be a very small quantity fuel spill from a fuel tank of some type of vehicle.
I drove him over to the VA hospital, and we pulled in the parking lot and met the guy that had called. And as we opened the doors, you could smell it.
We went down towards the stream bed on his direction and looked inside and did see a black substance going through the stream, obviously encroaching on the banks, and with a strong diesel or petroleum product smell.
Nobody ever thought that it would have been the pipeline that had spilled. So we sent an engine up there. They kind of followed the smell up the creek, and they found out that the pipeline had cracked, and it had been draining since 10 o'clock prior that night with so that's at least 9 hours worth of oil coming down, and nobody had known.
I recontacted dispatch and redirected most of the resources to Liberty Park. It became a large protracted incident.
It was chaos. We had an incident command set up at Liberty Park. He structured everybody. He knew the units that were up top. He knew the units that we sent. As the creek went down, we were sending up more booms trying to stop the oil. We had the west side units setting up booms in the Jordan River trying to get the oil to stop so it didn't get to the Great Salt Lake. They called for anything from porta potties to, tractors being come in. We needed several vacuum trucks. We ran the whole city out of vacuum trucks. It was a Sunday morning, nobody was working, so we were trying to get vacuum trucks from everywhere. If we hadn't had some type of emergency call center to take something like this, the whole city would have been a complete cluster.
Well, many of us know that when there's a crisis that happens in our community, the first thing that seems to break down is communications. And it's understandable, it's chaotic. But thankfully in Salt Lake City, when we had a serious oil spill, an oil leak, from the Chevron pipeline into Red Butte Creek and homes and properties and public parks and all kinds of things that were adversely affected, our dispatchers and our communications folks did an incredible job of keeping those links open, of making sure people who needed to be in touch were in touch with each other. And I am convinced it probably saved lives. It certainly saved what was a bad situation from being so much worse.